method for making a meal plan and a grocery list that's healthy, helps support my current goal, which is weight loss, and is as easy on my wallet as possible because we all know the cost of groceries has just skyrocketed lately. And when I was on my maternity leave, I was making very minimal income. So I developed this method to really help me keep my grocery bill as low as possible, and I still use it to this day. I usually do my meal planning on Thursdays. That's when our local flyer comes out. And while I am looking at a flyer, I don't do any couponing, price matching, or any of that. So this video is not going to touch on any of those type of strategies. If you do those things, that's amazing. This video is just not going to touch on those. So that being said, let's dive in.
The first thing I do is head to the fridge and take a look at everything I have in there. And by the end of the week, it's usually quite scarce, but I just take a quick inventory of any leftover produce I need to use and anything else that's in there that might be expiring soon, as I want to avoid wasting food as much as possible. What I also like to make sure I take a quick peek at is the condiments, see if there's anything that needs to be replenished. The next step is to shop my freezer. I sometimes pull everything out or just move things around enough to get a visual of what's in there. If my favorite cuts of meat are on sale, I always stock up and then freeze some. So I usually have at least one meat in there and sometimes some frozen fruits and vegetables that I can use to make meals. I write down everything in my freezer that I can use as part of my meal plan, and I'm definitely a list person, so writing it out helps me so much see what I have and what I can work with to make my meals that week. Next, I move on to my pantry, which is usually where I can do the most shopping because it is larger and it stores more than my freezer. For this step, at least every 3 weeks or so, I actually pull out every item and take an inventory of it. I never used to do this, and I would forget about so many things I had in there. So doing this step at least once a month really helps me be aware of the items I have in the back of my pantry. I also try to make note of anything I'm low on, like oats or quinoa, just the things that we eat regularly so I can add them to my grocery list. The next thing I like to do is separate out the items I shopped in my pantry into 2 categories. I always have one side for what I like to call the savory or dinner meals, and this would be things like rice, pasta, or quinoa. And then I have the other side, which is more sweet or snack breakfast type items, things like chia seeds, oats, coconut, or chocolate chips. Okay, so for savory, I have a can of wild salmon. I also have some black beans, some of this red lentil pasta, crackers, and then quinoa and brown rice that I'm gonna use for probably some sides for dinner. And then for the snack kind of sweet side, I have some cereal, chia seeds, oats, coconut, and chocolate chips. So I'm gonna do some snacks, breakfast, desserts with the stuff that I have here. Once I have shopped my freezer and my pantry, I begin writing down all the items I found that I want to use that week. I don't write down every single thing I found. So for example, I had some ladyfingers, but I wasn't going to make my protein tiramisu this week. So I'll just save them for the next week. The next step is where I take a look at the weekly flyer for my grocery store. I usually shop at the same store every week, and sometimes I'll go to another one if the deals are really good there, but I just try and be flexible with my meal plan and grocery list to match whatever's on special at my store. I'm using the desktop version of the app called Flip, where it just compiles all of your local flyers into one. I find it really easy and simple to use. What I look for in the flyer first is always meat and fish, as these are typically the most expensive, so I'm trying to get the best deals there. And then next I look at produce and dairy and try and capitalize on the deals for that week. So for example, if broccoli is on sale that week, I'll use that as my side to go with my chicken or salmon instead of choosing another vegetable. And if ground beef is on special but chicken's not, I'll do 2 dishes with beef instead of 2 with chicken. And that's how I try to work my meal plan around what is on special and save as much money as possible. From here, I then add the list of all of the items that are on sale to the list of the items that I shopped in my freezer and my pantry. I mentally play a little game with myself to try and use as much as I can from this list only to make my entire meal plan for the week. I of course always add more things, but it does force me to get creative to use the items I already have in combination with what's on special that week. From here, I go ahead and begin making my meal plan for the week. I'm not someone who lists out every single meal or snack for the next 5 days. I've tried that in the past and that just doesn't work for me. Even though I am in a fat loss phase and tracking macros, I still do believe that food is an experience and I like to honor what I feel like eating that day to a certain extent. So instead, what I do is just list out options that I can have for breakfast, lunch, and snack, and then alternate between them. How I build my meals is all based on the first list of items in the freezer, pantry, and on sale. I take a mental note of what macro each item is. So for example, if the item I have in my pantry is quinoa, I know this is a carb, so I'm gonna work to pair it with a lean protein and a high volume vegetable. My meals are always centered around a protein source and a high volume vegetable as I am in a calorie deficit, so I try and use volume foods to feel full and satisfied. For my dinners, I list out all the protein sources that I'm getting that week based on what was on sale or what I had in my freezer, and then I fill in the sides and other parts of the meal with as much as I can from the freezer pantry sale list. I get into a little competition with myself to cross off as many items as I can from that list and pretend like that list is my grocery store and try to use as much of it as I can. This strategy has saved me not only so much money, but also helped eliminate food waste as well. This is what I ended with, and you could see that I crossed a lot of stuff off of the pantry, freezer, and the sale list, which is my goal. And then I also added in some other stuff as well that I'll have to add to my grocery list, which is the next step. Once my meal plan is complete, the final step is to write out the grocery list based on that weekly meal plan. Since I shop at the same store frequently, I write my list based on the order which we walk through the store, and I find this helps me get in and out as soon as possible, which is always the goal.
That is basically it. We have the 3 lists. We have the what's in the freezer, pantry, and what's on sale list. Then we have the meal plan, and then the final grocery list with everything that we're gonna buy from the store. We usually like to do our grocery shopping on Fridays after work, and I never used to be someone that did this. It's really hard to be motivated to do that after a long week of work on Friday night, but it does save us so much time on the weekends and it's way less busy on Friday nights. So that's just what works for us right now. I hope that you liked this video. And as always, I would love to hear from you. Any comments or feedback, suggestions, please feel free to reach out. And I hope everyone has a great day. See you next time.